We're live. Hello. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the weekly art stream. I'm Amanda Call. I'm continuing this work on this page of I Am the First. We've worked on this for 2 sessions already. The pencils are pretty close to done, but we've just got this little corner down here we got to finish up. So this is I Am the First, Chapter 3, page 6. I'm going to try to finish up the pencils and start inking background elements. That's the idea. I realized as I was about to start that this is it on this eraser. That's what's left on this eraser. And when I click the thing, that's as far as it goes. But if you touch it, it goes back in. So we're gonna replace that. So just kind of hold this down. I'll do that again. You just kind of hold this down and pull it out. In case you've never done any of these before. Yeah, this eraser is from, I can't read it. It's so worn off because I've had it for a long time. It's a Tough Stuff from Papermate. But the General's erasers refill it. So this is what I have here. Hey, Hungry, thanks for joining me. I think these are the right size. I'm going to be very embarrassed if they're not. No, they're the right size. All right, so you just take it and you stick it in the end there, and then you got to hold down the button on the end to get it in the whole way, and then you can press the button to have it start to poke out. And there you go, new eraser. Hooray. And I still have another one in the pack for later, which I'll put back in my drawer. And I also still have a nub in case I want to try to use the nub with my fingertips, which I usually do for a little while because I'm stubborn about not wanting to waste it and throw it out, but then eventually it gets too difficult, and I do. But I'm going to get a little more use out of this nub probably. Anyway, that little tutorial aside, we're going to finish this up. We've got to finish penciling this page. I see Hungry in the chat. I hope everybody is having a good week so far. I have kind of a busy week with like lots of running around and trying to do stuff, and I'm like, how is it only Tuesday? I feel like I've already done so much this week. Like this morning, I had to take my kids to the dentist, and then I got home and I was trying to like fix the hose at my mother-in-law's house. It's just like, ugh, just a lot of running about and doing things. I also, like, when I took the kids to the dentist, I also was like, oh, I'm in town. I better like get an oil change and pick up stuff I need at Target and that sort of thing. Turned into like a whole bunch of errands besides. We've got the back of Dawn's coat here. All right. So I'm gotta get this little seam down the side of the jeans. Here's the corner of the bar. It's the underside of that little lip of the bar coming off there. All right, we've got Rodney here making a face. Try to make the bar stool and his body like interact in a way that makes sense. I think that ellipse is a little bit too deep for where we're at in the perspective. That looks more like it. How many legs do these bar stools have? Did I draw them with 4 or did I draw them with 3? Let's look at the previous drawing. 4, okay. Nice, sturdy, 4-legged bar stools. Very stable. Not sure where his other leg should be. I feel like if he's that close to the bar, it has to be like spread pretty wide for that to work. Maybe it's back here. Get his hat on there. Get his beer bottle. All right. So now we can start cleaning some of this up. those seams and pockets on his jeans, all those little details. So let's see, what's been going on around here in the last week? My friend and collaborator, Jeremy Flagg, who is the writer of I Am the First, Jeremy has set up our online store at Brave New Comics. So if you go to bravenewcomics.com, you can get the first 2 chapters of I Am the First as digital downloads directly from us, which is pretty cool. So you can get them in a variety of file formats. So however you like to take in your digital books, you have options there. And it supports us directly instead of having to deal with, Drive-Thru or Amazon or any of these other places. You can just get it straight from us, which is pretty cool development. You can definitely still get it on the other platforms too. We're going to continue to have it hosted there because sometimes that's easier for folks or they just prefer it. That's cool too. But we're pretty excited about being able to have it available directly from our website as well. Which of course means that we're not paying a middleman for hosting it on their site, which is nice because then as independent creators, we get a lot more money, but it's also just nice having the control over it because if Amazon or Drive-Thru or any of these platforms is like, oh, you asked us to publish this on our site, but we're just going to let it languish in our to publish sometime soon queue for days, or oh, we're just going to randomly turn your store off or delete a title for no good reason. And when you try to appeal it, we're a big corporation with a bunch of bureaucracy and we're not going to get around to helping you anytime soon. So these things happen. This is just life dealing with online services. But it's nice to know that we have a backup that we are in control of and we don't have to deal with any of that. We have it available on a site where it's the only people who are in charge of this are us. All right, I still need to make this other character in here. I'm going to sharpen my pencil real quick. Sharpen, sharpen, sharpen. Try not to break it. I love how disgruntled this face came out. That's great. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Figure out how this would work. Got the edge of this stool over here. All right, I think that'll do. Try to not lose the definition on this guy's face here. All right, I think that's working. I think that'll work. All right, there's the edge of the bar. Gotta not lose that in the perspective here. Okay, hooray! Just a couple little background moments to finish up on this panel, and then we're gonna be done with pencils. So let's see, we've got the TV back here. Kind of framing Rodney's face. And there's the ceiling. Let's not lose our perspective grid there. It's getting a little wonky compared to the perspective grid. So we'll try to fix that. The TV's mounted, and we've got the mirror behind the bar. There's the edge of it there. We're looking, it's a way low shot, so we're looking up at the very edge of it. All right. Hooray! Look at that! Look at that. 20 minutes. We got this last panel done. And now this page is fully penciled. Hooray! So that took us like 2 hours and 20 minutes to fully pencil this page, to go from just panel borders and perspective grids to fully penciled. Sweet. That's pretty good time for an eye on the first page. It can be a little bit tricky, a little bit labor intensive on the drawing side, because like real stuff like liquor bottle pourers and bars and bar stools and doors, all of that is like a lot harder to draw than you think. All right, so we've got the pencils done. That means that we can start working on some background inking. I finally got some more Royal Talons. I finally have my Royal Talons back. So I've got some Royal Talons India ink, which is what I prefer to use with a pen. For a while there, I was out of it, and I was using the Winsor & Newton, which I like using on a brush. Not crazy about using it with a pen, but just made do. So, yes, now I can use that with my pen. And I've got my Hunt 107 nib pen, my nice wood Tachikawa holder that needs to be cleaned. That's looking a little crusty. All right, and we're gonna start with some of our like straight edge architectural elements, stuff that we need straight edges and French curves and other tools for. I'm gonna get those out so that I have them on hand. We're gonna start with some of that stuff because that's most of the background inking on this, and also it's kind of tedious, so I like to get it out of the way first if I can. Try to prevent myself from getting too impatient. Okay. So I'm gonna start over here. The cool thing about the triangle and French curves that I use is that they have a little channel on, or like a little bevel on the side of them, so that you can use them with a pen and it doesn't get the ink all over the paper, because the edge that you're holding the pen against is not the edge that is touching the paper. It's pretty handy, unless of course you get like a giant honking glob of ink on there, and then things can still happen. Generally, that's not the case though. What is going on here? Okay. That's the bar, so that's much farther forward. We can make that a bolder line. Generally, your thinner lines are going to be in the background, and your thicker lines are going to be forward. So if you don't want things competing for being in the background, you give them a nice thin line to push them back. Ooh, need more ink. Running out of ink. Ah! Okay. So on each tier, I try to do a bunch of like parallel lines and move my way across the page from right to left so that I don't drag my hand through the ink that I just did with the tool, and give that a chance to dry before I go back and move this tool all over the surface and make a big inky smeary mess. That's not what I want to do. So I try to strategize to avoid having that happen. Now I've been talking, and the ink in my pen is not the tip where it needs to be. Try to very carefully not cross over where I need to put other lines later. Trying to make sure I don't overshoot. And then between each pass, I'm cleaning off the edge of my triangle so that I don't have a gunky mess. I was also holding the pen in my mouth, which is why it sounded funny, because I need to clean that off too. Dip that in the water, get the ink off of the tip of it, get it out of the inside there, that little bowl in there. Just because you don't want it drying and getting all gunky. So it's good to periodically clean it out as you're working. Whoops, I did not mean to put that line there. Dang it. I didn't mean to put that there. It's okay. I can fix it. I can fix it. All right, so that's the first pass. Straight edge business. I don't think this page is going to be too terrible as far as that stuff goes. And again, clean off the edge of my triangle. Try not to make it a mess. So you can see on the edge here, that little bevel I was talking about, where you have like an edge here where the pen actually rides against, and then there's a little channel here where the edge of the triangle actually meets the paper, and they're not the same. There's a little step there. I don't know if you can see it from the end any better. Maybe like this. And you can the focus is set to be on the page, so it's not great. You can kind of see there. Yeah, you can kind of see there how there's a little step. So the side that your pen is touching does not actually meet the side that is touching your paper in a 90-degree angle. There's this little channel. So it's a nice little bevel so that the ink, unless you're making a big inky mess that floods that completely, won't be able to scoot under the edge of this and bleed all over the place, which if that edge that you were holding your pen against did meet this edge at a 90-degree angle, instead of having that little step there, that's what would happen. And it would be bad. And if you have tools that are just a 90-degree from the edge that your pen is on to the edge to the side that is touching the paper, then don't use them with dip pens. There might be some other tools you can use them with, but not dip pens. Absolutely not. All right, next pass. As we try to get all these little architectural bits in, Jeremy's been a rock star also with flatting lately, and because he does the flats of the coloring, which is where you just kind of like put basic colors in to get it ready to do the rendering, where you make it all nice and pretty and add shadows and highlights and stuff. It's just putting in basic areas of color to get it ready for that. He does that on a lot of the pages just to help me out because it is kind of time consuming. And it just keeps the process running along. Because it's not like, you're not making like drawing type decisions when you're doing it. You're making a lot more like technical decisions, like what shape is this that I'm looking at? How is it different from this shape over here? But anyway, so he's been doing great on keeping up with those and keeping pace with me drawing, which has been really awesome to know that those are ready for me. But it was a little bit funny that he was like, I hate your establishing shots. There's always too much going on. This one's pretty simple though, so maybe he won't hate this one too much. I mean, it's like a half joking comment of like, it's a lot of work to flat them and it's a lot of work to render them and it's a lot of work to draw them and ink them too. But they do end up looking really nice, I think. But, it's a lot of work that goes into it at every step of the process. This. There's an eraser crumb there. Get out of there. Nice bold line because this is the bar that's right up toward the foreground. Try not to miss any of these lines that are actually all the same line, just with stuff in the way. All right. And then the edge of the bar can be a bolder line, because again, that's forward toward the viewer. Okay, to get this pourer. Oh, need more ink. Clean, clean. Get those corners connected. Oh, I didn't do the bottom of the TV earlier. Whoops. Okay, I'll have to do that later. I have to white out that line. It does not belong there. It's not supposed to be there. That's okay. These things happen. That's what whiteout is for. I'm going to come down here and get these stool legs because I can sneak down here without worrying about dragging my triangle up through the stuff I just did because I can just scoot further down. So we're going to come in and do that real quick. All right. Oh, one more stool leg. There we go. Edge of the stool. Stool leg. Beautiful. It's a bar stool. All right. We're getting there. We're getting there on these background bits. Got our exit sign. All right, and the bar, that whole line through there is all the bar in the background. But again, it's pretty far forward, so we're going to give it a pretty nice bold line. Boop. Meet those corners there. This table's a little farther back, so it's getting a thinner line. Doesn't compete with the bar. I'll try to actually close my shapes a little bit better because it's not super well closed. There is noise happening outside. I can only half hear that. Is that a helicopter?
Sounds like a helicopter.
Sounds like a helicopter. Where our house is like right in line with a couple of major helicopter routes. They go over our house a lot. Like right on the route where a lot of transports happen between hospitals using Life Flight and like military helicopters sometimes, and the Forest Service. Just a lot of helicopters going over. And I think that's probably true in a lot of places. It's just that because we live in the middle of the woods, there's there's so little other noise going on. Like there's not like traffic or anything most of the time. So it's just a lot easier to notice. Right edge of the bar. Didn't quite line up the way I wanted it to. Pretty close though. All right. We are making pretty good time on this background. All right, I have a few odds and ends up in here I still need to get. We've got this part of the exit sign I didn't get earlier. Oh, there's like a divot in the edge of my triangle. I have had this triangle for many, many years at this point. I think I got this like my freshman year of college, which was a long time ago. I'm not even gonna do the math. I'm just gonna leave it at that. All right, I'm gonna get some nice straight lines on the sides of these beer bottles where we need straight lines, which is not all of the sides of the beer bottles, but some of them. Some parts of the beer bottles, at least. What do we still need down here? We still have some of these liquor bottles that need some more straight lines on them. Which I could probably freehand some of this, but I may as well, if I have the tool out and I'm already using it, just make them nice and straight. Some of the parts of them I will still freehand, but side of this glass. Let's see, did we get everything in this panel? We got all of the straight edge stuff in this panel, but we need to do some of these curves. We also need to do the curves on Dawn's glass over here. That I may actually do with a circle template. Let me clean this off. I need to do curves up here too. All right, so we're gonna switch over to the French curve now for a bit. Oh, and the glass too, obviously. All right. So the way you use a French curve, which I will always make sure that I tell people because it irritates me to no end that people did not want to tell me how to use a French curve, is that there's lots of different sizes and shapes of French curve. I have two of them right here. These are the ones I use the most. As you can see, there's some tighter, closer to circle, nice rounder curves on this one. And there's a lot of nice, long, gentle curves and ones that are a little bit more like oval on this one here. So you can use them for different types of curves. What you do is you take the tool and you try to find a part of the tool that matches the curve that you have drawn, that you're trying to ink or that you're trying to draw if you're like tightening up some freehand with it. So like that's a pretty gentle curve right there. I'm going to pick a side that's pretty gentle. Like right there. Now you're probably not going to get the entirety of your curve in one stroke. You're probably going to have to break it up. So get part of it lined up and just, of course, I've talked and now there's no ink in the tip of my pen. You're going to line it up and follow it as far as you can where it still follows. And then you just stop. And then I'll show you how to connect those in just a second here. Well, in a minute, because I want to let that side dry so I don't mess them up. But I'm going to go ahead and keep doing that. Lining up the parts that match and stopping my pen before it loses the curve, because you can see here, like this curve doesn't continue the same way as the tool. It goes a little tighter than the tool right here where I'm using it. So I'm just going to stop before I get there. Go ahead and do those while I'm right here. May as well. Boop. Boop. All right, down here, same thing. I'm going to find a spot that matches and get those. That matches pretty well. I think I can get the whole curve right there. Whoop. And you'll, like, when you're first learning how to use a French curve and getting used to your particular tool, you'll probably spend a lot of time, like, flipping them around, trying to find a good match. It gets a lot easier once you've worked with it for a long time, because then you're like, oh yeah, I know where this curve is. You get a lot more of an intuitive sense of finding the right match. It just takes time. It takes time to get there. Do a couple of little freehand bits here while I wait for this section to dry a little bit more before I come back up here, because I do not want to smudge my wet ink. India ink dries pretty quickly, but it's a good idea to give it a minute. We don't need to tempt fate. How's that looking? It's looking fairly dry. All right. Flip this around again to make it easier to work on. Okay, so we got this side of the curves. Now we're going to do this side of the curves that we haven't done yet. We're going to flip it around, line up, and try to overlap. Try to get that to overlap so that you can either start where that curve left off, again, overlapping, or go to meet it and make sure that you overlap it so that you get a nice continuous curve there. You don't want them to meet at odd angles. And yeah, that's really tricky. I screw it up all the time. It's very easy to misjudge the angle, especially if you try to go to where you left off, like you try to meet it rather than continuing from it. Continuing from it is definitely the better way to go if you can manage it. Look at that. Now look at those nice curves. Aren't those nice? Now I can freehand the little edges here. Beautiful. Not like that. Let's try this. That edge that I'm really concerned about. There we go. All right, I'll come back and do the other side of that curve in a minute once that side dries. Get the back side of the curve of this stool. Oh, it's already 8:50. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let me, while I'm finishing this stuff up, finish up this stuff with tools and other background inking with my nib, a lot of which I'm going to freehand at this point. I will go over the YouTube things. I am Amanda Call, in case you missed it at the top. This is a page from I Am the First, which is written by my friend Jeremy Flagg and drawn by me. The first 2 chapters of I Am the First are available to read, to purchase and read online. Oh no, I just dragged my finger through the ink and I made a smear. Ugh, curses. That was foolish. Anyway, as I was saying, first 2 chapters are available to purchase and read online. It is a limited run superhero coming of age and coming out story. And it is going to be 5 issues. And then once all 5 issues are released, we're going to put the whole thing together as a graphic novel. Currently, each chapter is releasing digitally, but once all 5 chapters are complete, we will be releasing an actual physical book as well, which is pretty exciting. See, this is why I used the straight edge, because that's kind of a wonky beer bottle. It's all right. It's not great. Hello, Trahiki. Says the hands on the first panel came out super nice. If I remember correctly, there was a comment about a potted plant. You are correct. I ultimately ended up using some photo reference to get that to work. Because sometimes that's what you gotta do. You just gotta step back and have someone actually hold an object and take a picture. I have so many pictures of my own hands holding objects on my phone for precisely that reason. Ultimately, I did not have to go the potted plant route, thankfully. It was very tempting, though. Oh, goodness. So yeah, you can find the first 2 chapters of I Am the First on all of the places on the internet where you can buy your comics. So that's like Amazon and Drive-Thru Comics and the Apple Store and Barnes and Noble and Kobo, I think that's all of them. Or you can go to bravenewcomics.com and get it directly from us and still download it in all of your favorite electronic formats. So that's an option too. This here that you are watching is my YouTube channel. I'm here every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern doing the live art stream. I am usually either working on I Am the First pages or pages from my webcomic Age of Night, which you can read at ageofnight.com. That's AGEOFNIGHT.com. I will be going back to Age of Night pages on the stream after this page is done, which will probably be I'll probably need one more session on this next week. That'll probably be the end of it. Even if I don't quite finish, it'll be close enough that I won't be able to get another stream out of it. So that's where we will be on that. So if you like watching me draw these comics and talk about what I'm doing, then you should like the video, subscribe to the channel, tell all your friends, all that good stuff. All the good stuff. Little lines that need to be drawn in here to connect things together the way they need to be. And what else? You can also find me on Twitter at Age of Night, spelled just like the comic, on Instagram and TikTok at Amanda Call Art. So yeah, I think that's all the things. Hey, thanks so much, Hungry. Thanks for hanging out with me while I was doing this. I appreciate it. I'm just going to do the little details of the liquor bottles in this panel, and then I think that's going to do it. So very close to being done now. Yeah, so next week we will finish up the inks on this page, and this page will be done. Which is very exciting. All right, I think that's gonna do it. Okay, so at the start of this hour, this page was mostly penciled. I still had to pencil this panel down here. So during this hour, we got this panel penciled, and we've gotten a very nice start on inks for the background elements of this page. Next week, I'll finish up the last couple of little background elements that I haven't quite gotten to yet and start inking the figures. So thanks, everybody, for hanging out with me. I will see you next time. Bye.